Imagine you're looking at your bank account, and everything seems fine. You're working, you're saving, maybe you bought a house, but you have this strange low-level feeling of anxiety. You're working harder, but you're not actually getting ahead. You are simply maintaining position on a treadmill. What if I told you that anxiety is real, and it's a direct result of a mathematical deception invented 4 millennia ago? We're not talking about simple inflation. We are going back further, to ancient Mesopotamia, to Babylon, the wealthiest city of the ancient world, the very cradle of high finance. It's here that the elites of the time perfected a loop so insidious, so profound, that its architecture still controls the labor of billions of people today. Right now, you are participating in a 4,000-year-old financial game where the rules were rigged long before you drew your first breath. And if you're into financial freedom, building smart money habits, and looking for an escape blueprint, welcome to Classy Wealth. I'm Classy, and on this channel, we break down these complex traps using clear, cinematic stories so anyone can learn how money really works, without the jargon or boredom. If you want to know how the Matrix actually works, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. The algorithm loves to test new channels, and if you sub in the first 5 minutes, it tells them something significant is happening here. Now, let's get to the deception. The Babylonian deception has nothing to do with printing paper money. Paper money didn't exist. No, the original deception was much simpler and much more potent. It was the invention of leverage and systemic debt. The ancient world was built on actual value, grain, silver, and resources. The problem for the Babylonian elites was that real commodities are heavy, they rot, or they can be stolen. They needed a more abstract way to control human labor, so they created the concept of compound interest debt obligations, chiseled into simple, immutable stone tablets. Let's visualize this. Picture a Babylonian potter named Hami. He has entirely distinct, rugged, weathered features, wearing a simple clay-stained apron, completely separate from our modern clothing. Hami just needs raw materials to survive. He goes to the temple gate and takes an ancient tablet for some clay, which he uses to spin his pots. The elites charge Hami a steep interest rate. If Hami hits a rough spot, experiences a bad harvest, or misses one single payment, his entire obligation is compounded. The old record is smashed, and his debt is re-stamped at an even higher interest rate on a brand new tablet. This wasn't just a simple loan. They were looping the debt on itself. This is the Genesis loop of finance. The elites created a systemic algorithm where the mathematical obligation grew faster than physical pots could ever be fired. Eventually, the tablet became so unpayable that Hami, his family, and all his physical assets were legally claimed as property to pay off the interest. This original deception was brilliant because it transformed an unpayable mathematical obligation into a physical contract on human labor. The elites controlled the population not with weapons, but with numbers stamped into stone. The modern world has traded the stone tablets for digital code and credit card chips, but the geometry of the loop remains identical. Today, the system doesn't use physical grain and pottery. We use the fractional reserve system of money creation. Imagine a young professional woman named Maya walking into a grand marble bank vault to deposit $10,000 of her hard-earned savings. She feels secure. But the moment she leaves, the fractional reserve system activates. The bank is legally required to hold only a tiny fraction of her cash, often as low as 10%. The remaining $9,000 is instantly cloned and lent out to someone else. Suddenly, that single $10,000 of real human labor is expanded into nearly $100,000 of digital credit circulating in the economy. This is money magically manifested out of thin air. And when a massive wave of new digital currency enters the economy without an increase in real-world production, the purchasing power of every single dollar in your pocket shrinks. This hidden inflation doesn't just make groceries more expensive. It systemically pushes the price of real assets like real estate and stocks completely out of reach for regular labor. This is the new Babylonian deception in motion. Savers who hold cash are systemic losers, and the borrowers who can access newly created credit are systemically rewarded. This leads us to the most dangerous part of the modern matrix. If assets are inflated out of reach, and currency is constantly losing value, The average worker is stuck on a permanent labor wheel with no hope of escape. This creates social instability. To solve this, the creators of the modern matrix engineered the ultimate psychological loop, the illusion of wealth, through normalized debt. They took that ancient stone tablet and made it look premium. They replaced it with a sleek neon credit card or an app on your phone. Society replaced true wealth, like owning land outright, with the image of wealth, like luxury items, and made that image available to everyone via low monthly payments. They tell you, can't afford a $60,000 car? That's fine. Can you afford $600 a month? Can't afford a $3,000 vacation? No problem. Just split it into 4 easy payments with an app. Debt is no longer a tool. It has been transformed into a consumer product. And we are all buying it. This normalized debt is not just borrowing money. It is mathematically borrowing your future self's labor and time. You are pre-selling the Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays of your future 35-year-old self just to look rich at 25. A debt-free individual with 6 months of living expenses saved is dangerous to the system. They have total leverage. They can quit a toxic job. They can start a disruptive business. But a person with a massive mortgage, a high-end car lease, and maxed-out credit cards is completely compliant. They cannot risk quitting. They must put their head down, accept low-wage increases, and keep grinding the gears of the machine. Normalized debt is the invisible prison wall that keeps the modern workforce perfectly behaving. If you try to play this game by the traditional rules, you cannot win. You cannot save your way to financial freedom, and you cannot work enough overtime to outrun a digital printing press. Breaking out requires you to stop acting like a worker and start acting like the elites who rigged the game in Babylon. You must execute a complete psychological shift. The very first step is to cut the strings the system uses to control your labor. You must aggressively liquidate consumer debt. Stop the bleeding. Every single dollar you pay in interest to a credit card company or a high-interest auto loan is pure fuel feeding their machine. You must reduce your monthly cost of survival to an absolute minimum. The lower your cost of survival, the higher your leverage to make bold, wealth-building moves without fear. Next, convert your fiat into real hard assets. Once your consumer debt is gone, stop stockpiling massive piles of cash in traditional savings accounts thinking it makes you safe. Cash is trash. It is a depreciating token specifically designed to lose value over time. Every excess dollar you earn must be immediately converted into real cash-flowing assets, diversified index funds, real property, or scarce commodities. You want to own things that cannot be easily duplicated, printed, or manipulated by a central authority. When you own shares of great businesses or real estate, inflation actually becomes your ally. As the value of the currency drops, the nominal price of your assets goes up, protecting your purchasing power across generations. The final, ultimate shift is understanding the true definition of wealth. True wealth is not measured in luxury items, designer clothes, or fancy sports cars. Those are just different types of golden cages. True wealth is measured in time. Financial freedom means having your assets generate enough passive cash flow to pay for your basic cost of living. The moment your passive investments cover your monthly expenses, you have broken the trap. You are no longer forced to sell your life hours for currency. You own your Mondays. You own your choices. The Babylonian deception has survived for millennia because it relies on human ignorance. It relies on the fact that most people will never take the time to understand how money actually works. But now, you know the code. You know how the game is rigged. The choice is entirely yours. Will you stay on the hamster wheel? Or will you use the math to build your own exit? If you want to keep learning how to break the rules of the financial machine using clear, cinematic stories every single week, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and welcome to the Classy Wealth channel. I will see you in the next story.